Yeah, so this is the driver's side header. They take a fair bit of cleaning up with the sandblasting. So I've wire brushed it with the Widowmaker. It's a dangerous thing, that. These ones are pretty good. A couple of dents on the very bottom. So I'm going to give this a quick spray. Everything else is painted, and give this a spray, and then the job's done. Yeah, so a couple of days ago I was actually speaking to Peter about, he just brought it up in conversation, how difficult it is to get these. To be honest, the best way to get these lines straight is to actually really super define them. Okay, we're just right there, but we're a bit low there. See how the high fill's been untouched there. I've been aiming for an ultra crisp line all the way along, and see under there we've got a bit of a darker area that's obviously a little low in there, and you know, so that's what I've been aiming for, a super crisp line. And then once I get it down to absolutely really razor sharp, then I bridge the two surfaces. I don't actually run along the top of the line. I'm just bridging the surfaces and closing that gap. So I know that technically that body should be dead straight. So I've been helped out quite nicely by a guy, Nat, who sort of follows the build. I put the call out there on one of the Facebook pages. I needed some hinges, some bonnet hinges just as a replacement while I'm working on the car. I didn't want to. I'm going to send these are the actual hinges off the car. I'm going to send them away to get chromed at Vinnie's this morning, and a few other bits and pieces. But so Nat's just very generously decided to go to the effort, which is a big effort, to pack these things up, send them over from, where's the Adelaide, I think, yeah. Look at that. There you go. No, it's good. So spare set of hinges. So now I can send the original ones off the car, those there, and the bolts off to get chromed, as well as the springs. Now I've made these little brackets up to stretch the springs so that the chrome gets all the way through. Yeah. So I hope Vinnie's are able to work with that. Just a striker plate for the bonnet, just an old one that I've had floating around, and all of the hardware for the shock towers, which I've actually polished, and I polished those and clear lacquered them, but I'm going to get them chromed. And the bolts. So this is a 2000 degree paint. I was after black, but I went to 4 shops, two body shop restoration, 2 body shop paint supplies, and Super Cheap Auto and Autobarn, and they're all out of black. So it's aluminium it is. because the rear quarter is pretty much the only fixed point on the car, because the doors are adjustable and the front guards are adjustable, to get this line here along the bottom, I've actually, because this was these pieces here were the patch panels, and they were really horribly rounded off and just ugly, real gnarly. So I've actually filled that whole area just to bring it, so I can bring it down level. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just chasing this dog leg, just chasing all the filler out of that, and chasing down so I hit metal all the way, either on the door or on the dog leg, and that's where I'll stop. So that's the lowest point at there, and then I can keep that low point running all the way through the two doors and up onto the front guard. Because if we start high here, we're going to have a truckload of filler sitting in there and whatnot, so I want to get as much filler out as I can there. Feather that all down so it's all nice and smooth and level, and I want to be hitting metal all the way down, and then we know we're at our starting point. We'll probably hit metal here before we hit metal here because of that horrible patch panel, but that's okay. So we know that's the lowest point of the fixed point. Okay, so this is the passenger side. The rear quarter's complete, totally complete. The rear door's totally complete. Now I'm moving forward onto this door. I'll put a straight edge on this point here because this is crucial. Okay, so we're high here. So it's high. We are quite low in there. We're touching there, and as you can see, the high fill hasn't even been touched with the sandpaper there, so we're low there as well. But I'm aiming for that spot, so I'm going to try and sand that high out to blend it into this low, because that low meets that guard. This low here, I'll have to look at. We might need to put a little bit of filler on that, because I don't want it to sort of dip in from this door, and right there, if you can see that in the camera, we've actually broken through, so we're right on steel there. I could tap this whole section down a little bit, but it'll just mean it'll disrupt that whole rear door again, and I'll have to start from scratch again. So first thing, I'll sand this high out, and then put the straight edge on it again, check it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've just run the board across there. I think this high, that's bare metal there, I'm just going to give that a little tap, because there is going to be, if I stop standing there, there's this is low here. So I'm going to tap that down so I can sand across the whole area, and then just try and blend it all across. I don't want to go too far back onto that door, onto the rear door, because of that's mint, it's finished. So, but I do really need to get rid of that high, and which is good. I mean, the more highs you get rid of, means the less filler over the whole job. On the front of the front door, I'm still sanding that low out, which is really cool, getting rid of all that filler. So I'm still working on that low. It doesn't seem to be too much filler on that door at that point there, so I'm expecting to start hitting metal along here soon. But I just want to get that low out, and then just taper that whole thing, feather that whole thing in, and then start working. I'm not actually focusing on the front guard at the moment, I'm focusing on the door, but to get the door right, you've actually got to make sure that it blends across onto both surfaces, either side of it. And so I'm working on that, and I'll do a little bit of work on that rear, at the rear of the front door. So that's it. All good to go. So I'm going to paint this and deliver it off to young Pete. So being bare metal, you've got to paint it with an etch primer. On the body of the car I put all you need straight onto the steel, which is absolutely fine, but because I wasn't going to use all you need on this engine block, there's no point. I had to get some etch primer. So this is probably the most visible section of the block, right beside the thermostat and whatever goes in there, I can't remember. It's quite pitted, and it doesn't need to be that way, so I'm just going to put a little bit of filler just over that area, sand it out. Yeah, it just doesn't need to be there. We can have a nice smooth finish on that highly visible area. Yeah, so that's just sort of the most visible part of the block, right where the thermostat housing is and the top hose. But we've got these castings, these edges, which there's the engine number, but yeah, I might just hit them with a grinder and get rid of them. And they don't serve any purpose. They're not there for strength. It's just just from the casting. So there's one on both sides. So I think I'm going to get rid of those now. Yeah, it just doesn't need to be so rough. It's great. Let it dry off, and we'll put some clear over it. It's great paint, that one. I've used it on lots of different things. I didn't know how much of that oil filter area was actually available to paint, so I just masked off the whole machined area. So yeah, I left the entire machined area for the oil pump. Just machined, flat machined, and whatever that is, and the oil filter. But that's the only areas that I just didn't know. That whole front face has got paint up to where the actual cover sits. I masked off the inside of the galleries for the Welsh plugs, because I didn't want to have any excess build-up, just basically to prevent leaks. When Pete puts the Welsh plugs in, he can run a bit of 1000 or 600 wet and dry around the inside edge, just to get any burrs off any paint. But that looks fantastic. Hey, what do you reckon? This is the sump pan. The timing indicator. before I sand the engine bay, I've got to check a couple of things. I know that this configuration of the Firewall is set up for a non-air conditioned car, and this is a template. I don't know if you can see that. We've just taken that template off the back of the heater box for the air conditioned heater box. So I'm going to try and line up right. So that looks like about, okay, that's really cool. Okay, so we've got a hole there, we've got a hole there, got a hole there which lines up. I think I'm going to need some tape. Drain hole, so that hole can be filled, that one there, and that hole can be filled up there. So we've got another we've got another mounting hole there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got an extra mounting hole. We've got a drain hole there, and we've got to drill that, 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 and that. Got a hole there. Got a hole there for the drain. I went down and I bought one of these little creatures. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant for punching holes in the Firewall. The job was really, really neat. I'll just show you. So that bottom hole there was what I used. I had to do 2 holes over there, and did one down there. That one there has got a little bit of a lip on it because I started by trying to cut it open with the Dremel, but I'm just going to sand that lip off. But yeah, really tidy job. So this hole here is redundant, so I'm not too sure what to do with that. Either cap it or weld a little patch into it, weld a plug into it. But I don't really feel like doing any more welding, especially that close to the plenum where I've got sealant in there and stuff like that. So I might just put a plastic cap over it. Okay, so that hole that I drilled is slightly in the wrong position. I've got to open it up on the top edge there. It's not really a problem because the washers are that big. They'll well and truly cover the blown out hole. So as you can see, that's how big the washer is. Geez, it's hard to do by yourself. And this one here is a little bit out of position, but once the hose goes on, there's a hose that goes on it. Barely noticeable. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that, guys. Everything's nicely lined up. These fit perfectly. Good thing is being copper pipe, you can actually just bend them around a little bit to fit them. They fit well. righto guys, got a surprise for you. This is the colour of the car. It's polar white. I've reverted back to the original factory colour, just because it's a solid colour and I can paint it in the look at that. So I can paint it in the shed here. It's not the greatest spray booth, so there's a little dust, and actually surprisingly not too much dust. But yeah, she's really nice, and I didn't get any runs on this card whatsoever. Coming from the other side. So as you can see, the reflection is amazing. And this one here is good. So I've got a little run just in there so you can see it. It's right there. And one down the bottom there. And the doors, I've picked the tan colour paint. God, it was a brilliant colour match to the sample, but the guy who mixed this stuff up, it's nothing like the sample, like the paint chip that they give you. It's nothing like it. It's really beigey looking, but anyways, it doesn't matter. It suits. It actually it complements the carpet and the upholstery fabric, so I'm going to stick with it. It's it was there. The paint chip was darker and had a lot more green hue to it, which would suit the upholstery. But this colour is a good sort of cross between. So see down there. These are just the parts that need to be masked out. The brown, which, so these are up for painting next. Yeah, so it matches the carpet, and it's a good. So it's a good contrast between the carpet colour and the upholstery colour. So I've also this morning sprayed the ashtray that goes in the back of the dicky seat, and I've sprayed that top of the dashboard there, and up the A-pillars. So that's all done. And all of these little, I had some spare paint, so I thought, well, what I want to do is, firstly, is I spray these door hinges, and these are the extensions for the front guard, the adjustment stick extensions. So I sprayed all of the, I sprayed the petrol flap as well. So all of the door hinges are painted. And I wanted to paint those before I reinstall them on the car, because I didn't want to get any missed areas, any light on areas. So then I'm going to bolt them back onto the car, onto the doors. I don't know if you can see there. I've left the actual marks visible, so I know exactly where to bolt those hinges back up. And then I'll spray them again when I spray the hinges, spray the doors. Jeepers, I'm just rabbiting on now. But very, very happy. Black is going to be going. So all that inside boot is going to be sanded back again and painted in polar white. So that's what we're going with. Only because I want to get this car finished so I can get the coupe in here. Get this car totally finished, and I can spray it in here for $1,000 pretty much. That's the cost of the paint. Maybe about 1,400. I've got to give it a little bit more paint. Yeah, so I can spray this car inside this shed and get it finished, put it back together, and we're done. Anyway guys, yeah, so it's been a productive day, or productive few months.